Eevee is one of the most loved and iconic Pokemon of all time. She's cute, she's cuddly, and she's even getting as much love from the Pokemon company as Pikachu these days. So today, I've come up with a crazy challenge where we've got to shiny hunt Eevee. But no, not just one of them, all 9 of them. Oh, and there's a catch. So we should all know by now that Eevee has 8 different forms it can evolve into, and almost anyone can agree that they're all amazing, regardless of what sort of Pokemon you like. My goal for today is to get all 9 different shiny Pokemon in the Eevee family. However, I've come up with an insane twist. At first, I planned to set a 10-hour time limit, but if you've seen any of my recent shiny hunting videos, you'll know that I've become an absolute alpha shiny hunter. And no, I don't mean an alpha shiny hunter like in Legends Arceus, although I do have my fair share of them. My point is, getting 9 shinies in 10 hours probably wouldn't be too hard. So I've decided that for every hour that passes during this challenge, I'll have to surprise trade away a shiny from my personal collection, which means they're gone forever. I spend 10 hours shiny hunting, I lose 10 of my shinies. So the pressure was on. Also, before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you for 50,000 subscribers. It actually means the world to me. So to keep that number going up, I'll also be giving away every shiny evolution from this video to my subs, which could be you. So go on, throw a master ball at that subscribe button, and let the hunting begin. Starting things off, we're gonna hunt for the star of the show, Eevee. Now, unfortunately, Eevee can't be hunted with the isolation hunting method very easily, because no matter where you are on the map with a normal type encounter boost sandwich, Eevee will never be the only Pokemon to spawn because of how common other normal types are too, so I just had to find an outbreak. This can waste a lot of time from date skipping, but thankfully it only took 10 minutes. So we began our first shiny hunt outside of Medali, where the one and only Larry lives. Who here's a fellow Larry enjoyer? Also, this is the second time this glitch has happened to me, where a random Pokemon icon is stuck on the screen and will track with my camera. No idea why this happens, but I love it. Anyways, with outbreaks, all we gotta do is knock out 60 of the Pokemon to take us to the best possible chances of finding a shiny. I wasn't worried about this hunt at all, seeing just how many Eevee I can get to spawn and how recognizable and iconic its shiny is. All I could think of at the time was how I needed to get these evolutions to shine as fast as possible, so I can minimize the amount of Pokemon I'll have to surprise trade away from my collection, because believe me, it's gonna be a lot. Thankfully, my wish for a quick hunt was actually granted, because the beautiful white Eevee made its appearance after only 15 minutes of searching. What an absolute great start to the challenge with such a good shiny. One adorable baby fox down, and no need to surprise trade away any shinies yet. Emphasis on the yet. Now, for whatever reason, I've never been one to nickname my Pokemon, but it's a habit I'm trying to get into. It'll make the Pokemon feel a lot more personal and give them character. Now, I could come up with clever names that suit how a Pokemon look or how they act, but nah. I'm gonna name these evolutions the first word that comes to my mind. Shower. This Eevee's name is Shower. We got pretty lucky this time around, but our next hunt made me feel like I was going insane. I plan to hunt Vaporeon next, and like Eevee, the isolation hunting method couldn't be used without spawning other water types, so it meant I had to search for another outbreak. I spent a solid 20 minutes looking for one, and when I did find it, Vaporeon wasn't the only evolution on my radar. Nice. 2 birds with 1 stone. So I've made my way to the Vaporeon outbreak, and yeah, no, we're not doing this. For whatever reason, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet can't handle water. Like, at all. The lag is actually unbearable, and that's coming from someone who doesn't normally care about game performance. There was no way in hell I was gonna hunt in these conditions, and meant I had to find a Vaporeon outbreak on land. But that's just gonna have to wait, seeing as we can now just move right on to Leafeon. Remember how I said our next hunt made me feel like I was going insane? Well, here's why. Espeon shiny, impossible to miss. Sylveon shiny, the best color swap shiny ever. Leafeon shiny. I said Leafeon oh wait, that is the shiny. Huh. Okay, I know it's not impossible to tell the difference, but in Scarlet and Violet it is much harder, and I'll explain why in a second. So I made my way to the Leafeon outbreak and took out 60 of them for the increased shiny chances. And that's when I realized just how hard this was gonna be. This elusive shiny Pokemon is very easy to miss already, but it's made even harder in Scarlet and Violet due to the dynamic lighting system and all the shadows that are cast. They can majorly change how the color of a Pokemon can look to the eye, but that wasn't even my problem. My problem was that I was so keen on not missing the shiny and had been staring at the regular Leafeon for so long that literally any change in its color, even if it was by a single hexadecimal due to them being in different lighting levels, I just had to check if they were shiny, but they never were. There were so many times that I genuinely thought I found the shiny, but the shadows, the position of the sun, the weather, everything was just throwing me off. I ran into so many regular Leafeon just in case they were actually shiny, but they were always false alarms. I was definitely making it harder than it needed to be because of how carefully I was checking every single one of them. Then, something happened that caught me completely off guard. Shiny Fortress in the tree? Oh my god, what the hell? Okay, wow. I really wish you were a Leafeon so I could end this hunt and progress forward. However, this is one of the best looking shinies in the game. I forgot to save, didn't I? Well, that makes me 4 for 4 on shiny fails in my Scarlet and Violet shiny hunting videos. First Hoppip, then Flamigo, then Sandygast, and now Fortress. I don't even know what to say anymore. Can I get an award or something, maybe? Oh yeah, not to mention our first hour had passed. So that means I'm gonna have to surprise trade away one of my shinies when I find that Leafeon. Oh yeah, how is the Leafeon hunt going? 4 hours had passed. I was going insane, still falling for the same mistakes of thinking I found a shiny, but then eventually, I found this one swimming Leafeon, who I wasn't even that confident in being the shiny, who finally turned out to be the target I was looking for. Yes! Oh! It's about time! Wow, you don't look any different at all. I actually jumped out of my chair in joy because I was so sick of this hunt. We had finally found the camouflaged shiny. And honestly, can you really blame me for struggling with this? It's literally just Leafeon with a light shadow cast on his body. I'm gonna name him Forklift. We now had to surprise trade 4 Pokemon for hitting the 4-hour mark. Here were the results. I gave away a shiny Psyduck and got a Charmander, which is actually pretty okay since I didn't have time to do the Charizard raids when they were happening because I was shiny hunting. Then a Nimble for a Dratini, a shiny Altaria for an Azurill, and a shiny Tropius for a Slowpoke. Yay! After all that pain I had to endure, I wanted to move on to something simple, Espeon. This shiny is crazy, basically turning it into an alien. Unlike our last hunts, we didn't need an outbreak to get them to spawn. Right outside of Medali, there's a small zone in which I can craft myself a delicious encounter and shiny boost sandwich, and exclusively have Espeon spawning. I was so grateful I didn't have to have my eyes literally glued to the screen to make sure I wouldn't miss it. Although it actually did get a little close. For how obvious this shiny is, it blended in with the grass and the shadows really well, and luckily I was looking in that direction because I totally could have drove past it. It was such a breath of fresh air going into such an easy hunt that took no longer than 20 minutes, and I didn't have to second guess literally every Pokemon I saw. Another Eeveelution down and 6 to go. I'm gonna name him Snort. We interrupt this video with a Dunsparce evolution session, the new tradition to my shiny hunting videos, where we evolve a shiny Dunsparce until we get that 1% chance of getting a shiny 3-segment to Dunsparce. And that looks like a fail to me. Come back next video to see another attempt. Okay, it's no surprise I've grown a grudge for Leafeon now, right? Well, our next hunt is actually very similar. It turns out Leafeon isn't the only one with a horribly subtle shiny, because there's Glaceon, one of my favorite of the evolutions, but one with another shiny very easy to miss. I don't know why, but I wasn't as worried about this one though. I think I was just a lot more familiar with the shiny and knew that the regular one had almost turquoise colored skin, whilst the shiny is more of a whitey blue with much darker blue accents. Although spotting the shiny might not be as problematic as Leafeon, we did however run into another issue, if you can even call it that. I just simply could not stop running into other shiny Pokemon. About an hour into the hunt, I came across a green shiny Bronzong whilst despawning Glaceon in the outbreak. Considering I already have a shiny of him in this game, I could just use him as surprise trade bait. Fast forward another hour and we're greeted by a shiny Bergmite. I'm pretty happy with this one, seeing as Bergmite isn't a Pokemon I'd really go out of my way to shiny hunt, but it's a new one to add to my collection. And literally not even 2 minutes after the Bergmite, instead of finding the shiny Glaceon, you know, the Pokemon we're actually targeting, I came across a shiny Cubchoo. I can't complain though, because it's another one I don't have in this game yet. And wow, when the sun's out and all you can see is the snow, it literally just looks like we're battling in a white void. The names of these 3 shinies will be Couch, Train, and Soda! Eventually, we finally came across the shiny Ice Fox. And yeah, I think this one's much easier to spot. I was so glad we actually found the shiny Glaceon and not like 10 other random shinies we weren't looking for. And despite how subtle its shiny is, it's actually one of my favorites. Welcome to the party, headphones. Unfortunately, another 3 Pokemon needed surprise trading. So we said goodbye to our failed 2-segment shiny to Dunsparce for a Lechonk, our shiny Couch for a Sprigatito, and a shiny Snorunt for an Applin. Yeah, these trades are giving me immense pain. Please don't forget to critical capture that subscribe button to make their sacrifice worth it. Plus, don't forget, you could be winning one of these shiny evolutions just by being subscribed. Next came Flareon. Now, Flareon actually can be isolation hunted near the Dragon Sisters and near the Lake Towers. However, it does mean Scovillain will be added to the mix of fire type encounters. Seeing as last time I kept on getting the wrong shinies, I thought, nah, I think I'll just find an outbreak. So we eventually did, and I thought, what can go wrong? The shiny Flareon was found in a quick 25 minutes, and before we caught him, I decided to get a bit of B-roll footage for the video, and to show the shiny amongst the regular Flareon. There was a bunch around me, so I thought it would make for some cool shots. So I kept on going for a bit, and once I was done with that, the shiny was missing. Yeah, it was gone. No, I didn't save. It literally just ran away into the despawn zone when I was in the camera and not looking at it. And you'd think I'd learn to save when I find a shiny by now, but I've just gotten into this horrible habit of just not caring about saving anymore because of how easy shinies are. I have failed 2 shinies in this video. That is a sentence I should never have to say, but here I am. Despite the massive L I just took, the second shiny Flareon only took around 35 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna name this one L. Goodbye, shiny Masstiff, and hello, regular Flamigo. Great. Next was Umbreon, probably my second favorite evolution, both in the regular and shiny forms. The yellow rings turned to a nice blue, and thankfully there weren't really any issues with this hunt. All I had to do was find an outbreak in the caves below Alphanata and do the usuals, which includes knocking out 60 Pokemon, despawning and respawning until I get one to shine. This outbreak was really good because it was basically just on this big rock, and pretty much all that needed to be done was to ride along the edge of the rock, which would despawn the Umbreon on one side and respawn them as I would get closer. What was funny was seeing as Umbreon is actually a nighttime exclusive spawn, as soon as it became daytime, everything would change to the regular spawns of the area, despite still being in an Umbreon outbreak. So all I had to do was close the game, turn back time a little bit, and relaunch the game during nighttime. Within 50 minutes, we managed to get the blue ringed Umbreon to spawn. And damn, it's just such a good shiny. Whenever I see a shiny Umbreon, all I can think of is its famous Gold Star card from the Pop Series packs. That goes for ridiculous prices. Very happy to have added this one to the collection, and the first name to come to mind was Big Mac. With the overlap of time from the previous hunt, the 50 minutes made another hour pass by, and this time we gave up a shiny Weavile and found ourselves with a whopping Lechonk. Like Espeon, our next hunt was super simple, Jolteon. Pretty much the exact same setup applies. Right outside of Medali, there's a certain spot where serving up a delicious electric-based sandwich will only spawn Jolteon. Perfect. That meant there weren't going to be any issues like finding shinies we weren't looking for. Well, never mind. It turns out I ended up going outside of the Jolteon spawning area for like 2 seconds, and of course the electric sparkling boost gave me a shiny Pawmi instead. Well, I guess that one was on me for leaving the area, but what are the chances? I love Pawmi's evolution line and his shiny, so I'm not really complaining. The Jolteon side of things didn't go too bad either, because the hunt didn't even cross the half-an-hour mark. I will say I am not a fan of this shiny, because it's just one of the most disgusting shades of green they could have picked. But I was happy to find it, because it now meant we only had 2 evolutions remaining. The Pawmi would be named USB, and the Jolteon named Gas Station. Since I wanted to save my favorite Eeveelution shiny for last, it was time to move back to Vaporeon. I was worried about how much date skipping I would have to do before I managed to not only get a Vaporeon outbreak, but one that was on these tiny islands. So I made a water encounter sandwich to help influence the outbreaks. And to my surprise, within only around 10 minutes of date skipping, I actually managed to find one inland. So we made our way there and begun our second last hunt. It wasn't really much different to any of the other ones we'd done, meaning we took out 60 innocent Vaporeon and despawned and respawned until we found that purple fish fox thingy. Hey, I see you! You really thought you can blend in with that tiny purple flower patch? Yeah, nah, you're getting captured. Vaporeon is definitely my favorite of the Gen 1 Eevees, and the same thing could be said about its shiny. Not sure why, it just looks really good and suits it perfectly. I shall name you Pencil. Also, did you know, in terms of human male and female Pokemon breeding, Vaporeon... Due to how quickly our final hunt will be, it was time to surprise trade our final Pokemon, which will actually be a shiny Eevee I've had in my collection before this video. Can you guess what I got in return? An ordinary Buizel. I have lost over 10 shinies in this video, all for content. You better be subscribed by now. Anyways, it was time for our final of the 9 shinies. Shiny Sylveon. I absolutely love this one. Sylveon is already one of, if not the best evolution in my opinion, and I think the blue and pink colors swapping around for the shiny just looks absolutely amazing. So in order to score myself one of these, I made my way to Alphanata, built myself a mouth-watering tomato sandwich, and hoped for a Sylveon outbreak. It came by pretty quickly, and you know the deal by now. We start off the hunt with a massacre and summon as many Sylveon as possible. And finally, after a little over 10 hours of hunting, we finally bumped into the final of 9 shiny evolutions. And just wow, I'm so glad I ended on this one, because yeah, it's just absolute perfection and you can't change my mind. I couldn't possibly think of any way that could improve on this shiny, so I was incredibly happy to encounter it, catch it, name it Syrup, and completed the collection. This was actually such a fun challenge to do, and it only cost me 10 innocent shinies. Also, I've said it 100 times and I'll say it once more. All 9 of these shinies I'll be giving away to people who are subscribed. So make sure you are, let me know any other shiny hunting ideas you have, and thank you all so much for watching.